You wake up in the dark. No walls, no door, no lock, not even shoes. And somewhere about 40 meters away, something with 6-inch claws is deciding whether you look like dinner. That was daily life for every human who lived before roughly 10,000 years ago. You weren't at the top of the food chain. You were on the menu, somewhere between antelope and, honestly, why not? And yet, here we are, 8 billion strong. Our ancestors didn't get eaten. They survived and eventually thrived through hundreds of thousands of years of being soft, slow, and essentially naked in a world built almost lovingly to destroy things exactly like them. How did that actually happen? The answer isn't one clever trick. It's a stack of adaptations, behaviors, and social developments layered on top of each other across an almost incomprehensible span of time. Let's be honest about how bad things actually were at the start. We like to picture ancient humans as tough, muscular figures casually wrestling lions. That's not accurate. Not at the beginning. Not even close. Go back 2.5 million years. Early Homo species were small, fragile, with underdeveloped brains. No fire, no complex tools, no coordinated hunting. Biologically, they were prey. Full stop. And the predators weren't the lions and leopards we know today. They were worse. Picture a hyena the size of a bear with jaws strong enough to crush an elephant femur like a breadstick. Picture saber-toothed cats with canines nearly a foot long. Giant crocodiles that make modern Nile crocodiles look tame. Cave bears standing 12 feet tall, weighing 1,000 kilograms. Even a giant eagle in prehistoric New Zealand, large enough to hunt prey the size of a human. These weren't exaggerations. They were real, highly evolved killing machines, and early humans lived right alongside them, often near water, which is exactly where every predator also gathers, because prey needs water too. So how did humans not go extinct in those first 100,000 years? It starts with something almost too simple to be the answer. They stayed together. Think about it from a predator's point of view. You're a saber-toothed cat scanning the savannah at dusk. You spot a lone human crouched by the water. Easy meal. Now you spot a group of 25 humans, some already screaming, grabbing rocks, advancing toward you with sticks. Suddenly, the wildebeest over the ridge looks a lot more appealing. This is called the dilution effect, and it's mathematically real. In a group, the statistical chance of you specifically being the one grabbed drops sharply. You don't need to be faster or stronger than the predator. You just need to not be the unlucky one out of 25. The odds shift in your favor simply by being near other people. But it's more than math. Groups enabled active defense. Observations of chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, show that early human groups likely mobbed predators collectively, screaming, throwing objects, banging things together, advancing as one unit in a way that made the predator's risk calculation fall apart. And here's what most people miss about large predators. They almost never want an actual fight. A lion injured in a confrontation might not be able to hunt for weeks, which means starvation. Predators are structurally risk-averse. They want an easy, low-risk kill. Coordinated noise and resistance is often enough to make them turn around. Our ancestors didn't figure this out through conscious strategy, at least not initially. They figured it out through the brutal filter of survival. Groups that stood their ground made it. Groups that scattered didn't. Natural selection is a merciless teacher, but eventually the lesson lands. Now let's talk about the thing that genuinely changed everything. Fire. Not just for warmth, not just for cooking, specifically for the predator problem. Almost every large land predator has an instinctive, hardwired fear of fire. It's not learned. These animals evolved in a world where fire meant lightning strikes and volcanic activity, pure uncontrollable threat. So when a predator encounters fire, the instinct isn't curiosity. its retreat. Our ancestors gradually realized that a burning fire created a boundary almost nothing was willing to cross. Imagine a leopard prowling toward a sleeping group. It feels the heat from meters away, sees the light that destroys its ability to use darkness as cover, smells the smoke. Something ancient in its brain says, "Turn around." Night, once the most lethal time for early humans, suddenly became survivable. Fire did more than just keep predators at bay. Smoke drove off insects, including the mosquitoes and flies that spread disease, which likely killed far more early humans than any lion ever did. Cooking food killed the bacteria and parasites responsible for widespread illness. Fire hardened the tips of wooden spears, making them significantly more effective. It let humans survive in winters in highland regions that large predators had previously had entirely to themselves. Fire didn't just help humans survive predators, it rewrote the entire relationship between humans and the natural world. Before fire, we were something the world happened to. After fire, we started happening to the world. Let's talk about sleep specifically, because it's genuinely underappreciated in this story. We spend roughly 8 hours a night completely unconscious, a third of our lives with almost no sensory awareness, unable to run or fight. For an animal without walls, in a world full of nocturnal hunters, that's a staggering vulnerability. So what did our ancestors do before fire was reliably available? Trees. Elevation was the answer. Chimpanzees build fresh sleeping nests in trees every single night, high enough that ground predators can't reach them, and evidence from early human arm and shoulder anatomy suggests our ancestors retained real climbing ability long after their feet adapted for walking. Evolution doesn't keep expensive traits around unless they're still being used. A tree doesn't make you safe from everything. Leopards are excellent climbers, and we've found hominid remains in ancient tree kill sites. But it does eliminate lions, hyenas, wolves, and most other large predators from the threat list, narrowing things down considerably. Then there were caves, a perfect example of the uncomfortable trade-offs of ancient survival. A cave gives you a defensible position, shelter from weather, only one direction to guard. It sounds ideal. The problem is caves are also exactly where large carnivores already live. Cave bears, cave hyenas, cave lions, named that for a reason. Moving into a cave often meant moving into someone else's home, someone who had strong opinions about new tenants. The archaeological record shows sites where humans and predators alternated occupation of the same cave across thousands of years, an uneasy timeshare arrangement in the most literal sense. Here's where things get truly interesting. What actually set humans apart? Language. Complex, symbolic language. The ability to describe things that aren't physically present. Warn about the future. Communicate abstract danger. Without language, every individual has to personally encounter a threat to understand it. Knowledge dies with the person. With language, you can describe what you saw, transmit it, warn the whole group, even warn people not yet born by teaching children who teach their own children. Knowledge stops dying with individuals. It accumulates across generations. A group's collective understanding of danger grows far beyond what any single person could observe in a lifetime. Predators had teeth, claws, speed. Humans had knowledge that never stopped growing. Then came the spear. The moment humans stopped being purely defensive and started being offensive, the oldest known wooden spears, roughly 400,000 years old, found in Germany, are genuinely engineered, weighted for aerodynamic stability, shaped for grip and throwing technique. Before effective ranged weapons, harming a predator meant being within its reach too, an exchange humans usually lost. A throwing spear changed the entire equation. Damage from 20 or 30 meters away without ever entering claw range, and predators are capable of associative learning. A lion struck by a spear doesn't need a second lesson. Populations that repeatedly encountered armed humans developed behavioral avoidance over generations. The fear slowly, irreversibly reversed direction. There's a concept in ecology called the landscape of fear, the way prey animals constantly map predator risk across an entire environment, not just react in the moment. Ancient humans did this too, but collectively, sharing mental maps through language, building multi-generational knowledge. This valley is dangerous in winter. This waterhole draws lions after the dry season starts. Settlement patterns show deliberate site selection based on this accumulated knowledge. Elevated positions, clear sight lines, water access without direct exposure. And there's the human body's strange secret weapon, persistence hunting. We're mediocre sprinters, but almost no other mammal can run and cool itself simultaneously the way we do, sweating across nearly our entire body. A lion, forced to run at a steady pace in extreme heat for hours, will die of heat stroke before a human will. We are, in the most literal sense, endurance machines. By around 50,000 years ago, fully modern language, symbolic thinking, and coordinated long-range planning had emerged. Humans began systematically hunting the very predators that once hunted them. And the pattern that followed is sobering. The woolly mammoth, saber-toothed cats, cave bears, cave lions, giant ground sloths, gone, correlating closely with human arrival across nearly every continent. Not because we were stronger or faster, but because we had language, fire, spears, and the ability to learn faster than evolution could adapt. We weren't the biggest or the fastest. We were quietly the most dangerous thing to ever walk the planet.